You're still watching Nile TV International from Cairo, and we just brought you U.S. President Donald Trump's word before a summit on healthcare in the United States, and a press conference there where the U.S. President naturally talked about the latest situation regarding the Iran conflict. Mr. Trump said that the United States had stopped military operations in Iran because of Iran's wish to reach peace. He also said that nothing is left from the Iranian Navy except for some small vessels, and he said that those vessels will also be destroyed by the American Navy. He also said that Iranian trade has been brought to a standstill, and that the status of the Iranian economy is very bad at the moment due to the blockade that the United States executed on Iranian ports. And he also said that he wants what he called an ideal deal with Iran, an ideal deal. Then he will allow the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. He also said that he will not allow Iran to possess nuclear weapons that would threaten the Middle East and the United States. And he also said that he is not under any time pressure. And in fact, that the time factor is against the Iranians in his personal opinion. And he also said that nobody would be allowed to use nuclear weapons or tactical nuclear bombs in this war. And finally, he said that America has achieved 75% of its goals in Iran. 75%. With us now here in the studio is Mr. Mohamed Salah, the political analyst. Always a great pleasure to have you with us, Mr. Salah. So please, your comments on the latest statements by the U.S. President.
No, I'd like to say that I'm very honored to be with you, and
with your privilege,
with your kind and generous followers at this episode, or at this coverage about the American president's speech now. And I'd like to say that I'm hoping a productive and a fruitful discussion between us around this speech and for our followers at the same time. Let me say that Mr. Trump do not tell anything new. Have near a week. Don't have any single new information by his speech. The same phenomena or the same pattern that is repeated every day from the American president. The same speeches about the American victory, and no one in this world no one can see this victory except Donald Trump. Any other person in the world now see that we are in a very bad results, or very bad outcomes due to what's happening, or what is called non-strategic war that have been nominated or have been done by President Trump without any sufficient plans, without any sufficient studies. He don't know, or they don't know how to end or how to exit this military war, or how to end military actions that having taking part now. And he's going to give himself, he's living in a parallel scenario that's not linked to the facts, or not linked to what's going on the ground.
Okay, allow me to stop you, Mr. Salah, and just ask you about some specific things that he said. And yes, most analysts would agree with you, nothing new has been mentioned today, but I just want to maybe stop with two specific statements, if you allow me. One of them, America has achieved 75% of its goals. Now, I remember that we're now in week 9. I remember that in week 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, we used to talk about achieving 90% of the goals and demolishing 95% of the Iranian ballistic missiles and destroying 99% of the Navy. I remember these numbers. But now this has gone back to 75%. So let me stay with that point first of all.
And this is one of the most comics that coming out from this war. I would like to say, I would like to practice political statements, or like to have a political analysis for these wars. But really, the President Donald Trump don't give us the chance to work on this content as a political content, but it's a comic content at the same time.
Yeah, he must be confusing AI itself. I mean, if AI is taking this data,
what I would like to say is that we have the same words, we have the same statements that are declared or are produced by President Trump, but on the opposite, we do not know or do not watch any of this on the ground. And I'd like to ask Mr. President Trump now, if you have already achieved 70% of your goals on this war, why you are going to negotiations? If you have achieved your goals, if you have achieved a big victory on this war, so why you are negotiating with Iran and with the Iranian leaders?
Speaking of,
and this is I think this is a clear and natural question that arises from this.
Speaking of numbers, but no confusion here. Brent is trading at $106 per barrel. WTI is at 96. So the market doesn't like. If there is a ceasefire, the market doesn't like it because obviously it sees bad things, maybe bad things happening in the future. Although Mr. Trump says that Iran wants peace, and this is why he stopped the military operations, according to the U.S. president. Now, another confusing thing. There are two other confusing things I can think of. One is regarding the time frame issue. Now remember also Mr. Trump had said more than once, we've lost count. You know, we also lost count of the ceasefire extensions and the ultimatum reversals. We've lost count, really. But he said it a number of times, the war will end pretty soon. The war will end very, very soon. The war is about to end. He said this at week 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you name it. And everybody's going to be happy, and we're going to have a deal, and we've agreed on everything. So, but now he's saying, there's no time frame for the war. Nobody presses me. I'm not pressed. This war can go on. No problem. I'm not pressed by the congressional elections in November, you see. November. So what's going on? I mean, something has really shifted. I mean, from the war is going to end now and we've agreed on everything, to now, there's no time frame. It's an open, for ceasefire extension and for the war itself.
For the war itself.
Yes, it's for both.
Because we're going to confuse between the end of both terms that we are dealing with.
Right. He said it for both.
For both.
That's a big shift.
It's not a big shift, but I think it's a great movement towards the facts that are happening now. And I think finally have realized that his goals or his goals haven't been achieved through military action.
For week 9.
And for week 9, yes. And he told at the very early beginning of this war, that I will end this war and will achieve all of my goals in 5 or 6 weeks. And now I think we have on week 9 he haven't achieved any of them.
He himself says it's only 70%. He only says 75%. Although it's at 90 and 19.
But moreover, these goals have been transferred into historical benefits come out to Iran. If you would like to say that about the control of Iran upon the Strait of Hormuz, I think it's a historical dream for the Iranian nation and the Iranian people in general, and they couldn't achieve this goal or couldn't reach this.
Right, but wasn't this until the blockade? I mean, hasn't the blockade changed the game, Mr. Salah?
I don't think that we have a real blockade on the Iranian shores or on the Iranians ports. And I'd like to say that Iran now are exchanging benefits or exchanging commercial and trade between many of the nations around the world.
This is what Iran says, but and it's hard to find the truth really. But the U.S. president says that Iran's trade has been frozen. So and that they're losing $500 million a day. So there is this perception. And he also said that Iranians are terrified from the blockade more than they are from the bombing. So there is this perception that the blockade, from the American point of view, was a good move, to counter the closure of Hormuz?
I don't agree with this opinion, and let me say that the blockade might be very effective at the early beginning of the war, like what happened on Venezuela, not at the end of the war. And I think this is the difference between the two cases in Venezuela and Iran. In Venezuela, you have a real or a strong blockade against a small nation like our small country like Venezuela. But on the other hand, Iran, it's not a small country. It's not a small geographically not a small country, and it have a lots of ways to exchange commerce or exchange commercial treatments with the neighbors throughout the Iranian borders with Pakistan, with Afghanistan, and they have also another sea on the north, which is Qazvin.
It's nice that you mentioned Venezuela, because some analysts have said that Mr. Trump has something called the Venezuela syndrome. So yeah, but it's been a couple of days he hasn't mentioned Venezuela. But anyways, many think that he is out for the oil as well, not just the uranium. And the Chinese today warned the Iranians from making any deals with America regarding the oil. I don't know if they have any information, but Beijing has warned Tehran from making oil deals with Washington.
Because if you remember,
so there's something in the making
our
here.
First speech about the goals of the American, of the real goals
you said
of
it was
America
oil. I remember.
on Iran. I told you on that day that they have four main goals. The first is ballistic missiles program and the nuclear program and the drones program, and the fourth is the relations between Iran and China and Russia. Because one of the most important goals or objectives from the American side is to cut or to end these relations or these ties between Iran and China and Russia. But as I said, that the Iranian war is a step forward, a part of a greater struggle or a greater conflict that's happening between America and China. And consequently, you have to understand that this kind of news reflects what's going on the negotiation process itself. What are the idea they are exchanging each other's. I think that Americans are pushing or pressing to turn or to end these relations between Iran and China, and they give the Iranian side a lots of benefits, a lots of advantages in order to accept this offer from the American side. I'd like to say that it seems to be that we have, or we are having a wider and a very serious negotiations between both sides, not only about the war, but about
oil, about maybe running Mr. Trump running the Strait of Hormuz with the Ayatollah. Maybe we don't know. I mean, maybe
the
these things will come
regional
up.
system in general. They are negotiating about a regional system, not only about a war to put or to end this war by a ceasefire or by reaching a ceasefire between the two partners. But I would like to say that we are talking about a complete, newly complete regional system, which is having, or which exists, or which needs a lots of talks, a lots of ideas. One of the most important scenario have been mentioned, which is having a sustainable and a long ceasefire, and to complete these negotiations without any time frame regarding.
And we heard 6 months. I remember.
This is why. This is because we are talking about a complete change, not only an ordinary change.
And that complete thing would involve naturally oil, and would involve the Strait of Hormuz and the running of the Strait of Hormuz.
Relations also between commercial relations between Iran as a part and or as one of the countries that have been joined what's called the BRICS organization, the important and the regional relations that are happening between Russia in the north and Iran in south, and the commercial relations between Iran and China. All of these consequences, or all of these facts are being, or America is working now to change all of these basics on the land now. by leading these negotiations.
Allow me to go back to the naval blockade that America has executed on Iranian ports. Now, one very important factor for that blockade to really work and to be effective is the duration, is a long time frame, is, you know, months and not just days or weeks. Do you think Mr. Trump is serious when he says, I don't care about time, there's no time pressure, or is he bluffing? I mean, and can he really, you know, hold this stalemate for months to make that blockade effective?
The time frame, time frame for America is very important, not only for Iran. I think that Iran will have to be serious that the Iranian side is affected by this blockade at this time. But we have to say that many things on the American side. One of them is that you don't have any other cards to do with military actions. You have extended or have ended all of your weapons, have used all of your weapons, especially we are talking about traditional weapons. We have very high tech missiles.
Right, but there is a very heavy build-up, Dr. Salah, Mr. Salah. Pardon me. The Americans are building up very heavily still militarily. I mean, they probably have the biggest number of forces now in the region than they've had since the start of the war. Look at the plane carriers. Look at
about some weapons which are a very high qualified or a very high technique missiles or rockets. This couldn't be rebuilt at the moment. They need
understood. And they're also bringing in like thousands and thousands of troops and Marines. I mean, what is this build-up about? So seemingly there's another gear.
It's a kind of pressure on Iran to reach your goals by negotiations. I'm very sure that President Trump is not looking for military or not go to or regain military action again at this moment, because they have used it already for all the weird.
Maybe not in the way of the Stone Age bombing, but we did hear the Israeli defense minister today saying that Israel is, you know, gearing up to send Iran back to the Stone Age. They're waiting for the green light. So, I mean, has that card been taken off the table?
The Israeli side now, we don't want any reason to get into any war.
Yeah, they don't.
Like you said, we have this a government which is very tied to any war, because it gives or it takes its legitimacy from the war actions itself. I'd like to say that on the ordinary situation or on the basic situations, or this government will not go.
Yeah, you're right.
Let's stay.
Many people agree with you. They don't need a reason. They don't need any reason to go to war. But they're waiting for the green light. So is that a possibility that Mr. Trump would refrain and give Israel the green light?
I don't think so, because I'm sure that we have to know that the only thing, or we have two steps only on the military scenario, or regaining the military scenario again. The first is using nuclear weapons.
No, that's off the table. He said it himself.
He said he denied this, and at the same time we have to know that we have lots of troops of American soldiers here in the Middle East,
right? And
he can use nuclear weapons while these troops are landing here, or
that's off the table.
Presenting on the land now in the Middle East. The other thing is occupying islands, occupying a part of Iran,
or trying to get the uranium themselves. And this is my next question. Are the Iranians daring Mr. Trump to go and get the uranium? That's a question I have to pose, because they don't want to go to Islamabad unless they lift the blockade. So you get it. So the American president is saying, come on, let's talk. But it's the Iranians now who are saying, we're not going to talk. You have to stop the language of threats. You have to lift the blockade. You have to stop the violations of the ceasefire. So are the Iranians basically daring Mr. Trump to go and get the uranium himself, the 440 kilograms? And the reason I'm asking this is that Mr. Trump, if he really had wanted, that's another question, or another theory maybe. If Mr. Trump really wanted peace, and a peaceful solution and settlement, and a win-win situation, when Araqji announced the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, that should have been welcomed and should not have been, and wouldn't have been replied to by the blockade, and by tightening the blockade. Because that was, I mean, before going to the talks, what was the thing? Open the Strait of Hormuz and then we will talk. The American position. It's open. It was open. The Iranians were ready to open it. But he decided to go a step further. Blockade. Tighten the blockade. He wants a complete surrender. And because the Iranians realized that Trump wants a complete surrender and not a win-win situation or a safe-facing exit for both of them, Trump wants to humiliate the Iranians. They've realized this, so now they are daring him to make the next move. Is that an acceptable theory? Or
it's very acceptable because of the history. You have to come back to the history and know what happened on the past two negotiation process between Iran and America. Before the war, the two times, the first of 12 days war and on the current war, there was a negotiations and active negotiations between both sides. And on the second one, during this negotiations already, Iran have ordered or have offered a lots of solutions regarding its nuclear weapons, regarding its
temporary freeze,
and all of these ideas were offered by the Iranian side. What had happened? What was the response from the American side? He entered into the war, and the Israeli army or the Israeli forces have entered the war already because they have a certain goal they have to achieve. The first is to disarm Iran and to keep it out from any reason of being power or any reasons of powers or any kind of reason, whether it's
economic, military, nuclear,
social, all of these means of.
So they want to bring Iran back to the Stone Age. This is what they want to do.
They want to kill Iran, kill the Iranian nation, and Mr. President. Mr. Trump have said it in a direct way.
Destroy the civilization.
Destroy the civilization of the Iran, and this is the main
That's impossible.
reason.
That's
because
impossible.
These are the only way to gain or to accept Greater Israel theory. You won't have to be you want to be able to make Israel the dominant part on the Middle East without exiting or without falling the system or the regimes for many countries in the Middle East, not only Iranian. Iran is just a step on this way and have another steps in the future. So we have to understand well that Mr. President is not telling the truth. He have lots of ideas by keeping the blockage on the Iranian shore after saying that Iran will open a Strait of Hormuz. His target was to start an entire war between the Iranian components due to these actions. And as they have explained or they have mentioned on the lots of press conferences and lots of news, that on the negotiations they have agreed with each others to exchange ideas or exchange steps towards peace. Iran has said that it will open the Strait of Hormuz. But
he could have taken that. He could have taken that and as a goodwill gesture and went ahead.
America said that they will it will end the blockade on the Iranian shores, while Iranians said or done their
part of the agreement.
And America get back and end that.
Mr. Salah, here are some of Mr. Trump's also latest statements. Again, nothing new, but we just have to. That's our job here in the news. But nothing new, really. We've destroyed the Navy. They have only some small vessels left. We're going to destroy them. We've brought the military capabilities of Iran to near zero in 4 weeks. Now it's week 9 anyway. The American Navy is controlling Hormuz completely. We want a comprehensive deal with Iran. And if we don't reach a deal, now here's the threat, we will strike what's left of the targets.
Let's take
what is left?
First of all, let's take a logical test. If you have already opened the Strait of Hormuz, and you are working on it now, and you have the full control on the Strait of Hormuz, why are you calling Iranians to open the strait? You have opened it. You have opened it exactly. So I can't understand what are how the American president is thinking about these ideas, or how could if he's examining, or he's taking or thinking more about it.
This is amazing that at the beginning, before the war, there was no problem with the strait. During the war, Iran closed it. America says it wants it open. This is a very important and a condition for any possible progress. Now that Iran opened it, as you mentioned, so we, America, are going to close it. And we want it closed. And we want it to stay shut. And we're not going to open it. But he's doing this because he believes the blockade will bear fruit. But of course it will take time. But the other question is, Mr. Trump now is taking the global economy hostage. It was the Iranians first.
He said the
now
Iranians are
Trump.
doing this.
Right.
Yes.
And now it is Mr. Trump who is doing this.
But this is the
He's
real.
taken the global economy hostage,
and
including
he's doing it.
The American economy.
He's doing it on purpose because he's targeting the resources of energy. He's targeting oil. He's targeting natural gas. He's targeting.
And he's risking an Iranian response against his allies, the Arab Gulf countries, and their energy facilities.
Energy supplies for the Chinese market, and he's looking to cut off these supplies from the Chinese market in order because we have to understand that the blockade is not against Iran. The blockade is against China, not against Iran.
Okay, okay, but it has brought the global economy to its knees.
Because the global economy is built on a very weak basis, and we have to reform all of these bases, and we have to find another global system for all the exchanges, or for the interactions between countries, not only on trade, but also in politics, in civilizations, and in lots of things. And it's not a secret that we are living or are living now on the Third World War, or attending it now, due to many reasons and too many changes that have been happening.
We want to understand that last statement, because that's the key statement tonight, I think. When he says, if we don't reach a deal, but again, no ultimatums, no time frames, whether for the extension of the ceasefire or for reaching a deal, or for the war. But Mr. Trump saying, if we don't reach the deal with Iran, we will strike what's left of the targets. So he didn't say we're going to hit the energy, he didn't say bluntly, the energy facilities and infrastructure and so on, but what's left of the targets. So does that mean more of the same that we saw in 7
more of the hidden targets?
Yeah.
More of the hidden targets, or the hidden objectives of the American side from this war. And we have said a lot that we don't have the clear ideas or clear goals or clear objectives about the reasons of this war. We don't know how this war will end. We don't know how Mr. Trump will end, will have an exit.
And surely Israel is providing America with a bank of targets at the moment.
Sure.
That they have uncovered maybe during this
because
ceasefire period.
Israel has a regional project that is working on it, which is Greater Israel, about building an economic ties with the Arab world, about...
so how can you have so-called Greater Israel and still have peace, an Abrahamic, whether peace or Abrahamic peace, now with Lebanon and Syria? I want to talk about Lebanon for the final 5 minutes that we have, Mr. Salah. Foreign Minister Abdulati discussed with the head of the Lebanese parliament over the phone the efforts to reach a ceasefire in Lebanon. We have the ceasefire, but to uphold the ceasefire, to extend
a week ceasefire now, because I think that we have lots of confrontations on the borders between Iran and Israel, and lots of missiles, lots of
Lebanon and Israel,
between Lebanon and Israel, and this is a normal situation due to the problems that are happening now on the negotiations between America and Iran.
Absolutely.
We are not on the correct side, or we are not right if we have discussed the situation between Iran and Lebanon without any relation to the wider struggle between America and Iran. Because I think Israel and Lebanon, or Israel and Hezbollah, are parts or vices for the main targets, or the main
the U.S. and Iran.
So we have to understand that ceasefire on Lebanon will not be active without a greater understandings between America and Iran.
You see, you've answered my next question.
So
I'm just going to follow with the updates here. The Foreign Minister and Mr. Bidi, the parliamentary speaker in Lebanon, of course agreed on the fact that Israel must respect the ceasefire and not violate it. Yesterday they killed a female journalist, Israel, and obstructed the relief efforts in what the Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam described as a war crime. So Israel repeating its crimes, its war crimes that it committed in Gaza, repeating it in Lebanon. But anyway, they're going to have talks later at the White House, later on Thursday. But really, I mean, how can they reach anything in the midst of this atmosphere? The continued Israeli violations and the America-Iran situation that you
are negotiating the force partner, or you are not talking the right partner on these negotiations. If you wanted to have a peace process, you have to this process must be
takes two to tango.
And at the same time have to be related to the international laws and to respect the other's borders, and you have to end up the situations or the problems of the international problem, which is called the Palestinian issue, because it is the main reason for all the problems in the Middle East. So you have to, first of all, you have to end the Palestinian issue, and the second is to respect the other's borders, and you have not to interfere on the others' internal affairs, and you have to respect all the Lebanese components, or for the Lebanese people. And I think Israel do not have any I think they do not have any desire to do any of these actions. They won't end up the Palestinian issue. They want respect the Lebanese borders. They will interfere into the internal affairs of Lebanon.
They want to see a civil war in Lebanon, actually.
They are looking for it since 2006 war.
And in Syria, by the way, as well. This is what they want.
And they have said that we have taken a great part on the civil war in Syria and in Lebanon in the 17th and 19th of the last centuries. So we have to understand well that no peace in the Middle East will happen without ending up the Palestinian issue, without respecting others' borders, without ending the
occupation, withdrawing from the occupied land,
and getting out of what I call the dreams of the Israelis about Greater Israel and all of these.
I'm really glad, Mr. Salah, you mentioned the Palestinian cause here. And by the way, Egypt every day keeps talking about exactly the same points that you mentioned, of course, reminding everybody that the Palestinian problem is the root cause of all problems.
About the border peace also at the same time. We have to remind the world, because all of
it has to do its job.
All of the world now is talking about Iran, talking about Strait of Hormuz, talking about Lebanon. No one speaks about Gaza Strip. No one talks about the second
Gaza
that
lost something like 10% of its population in the genocide war executed by the Israeli war crime suspect prime minister and his defense minister and top military officials wanted at the ICC for the war crimes. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Mr. Mohamed Salah, political analyst. Always a pleasure to have you with us.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Mohamed. Thanks a lot.
And thank you for watching. Please stay with us.